Yo, what's up guys, Toby from the MasterBok Show, and I hope you're having a wonderful day. I was just looking for a very good Death Knight build for our favorite game, Baldur's Gate 3. Unfortunately, most of the builds that I could find was just a variation of a Warlock Paladin, which is totally strong if you want to have a very powerful smiter in your team, but it doesn't feel like a Death Knight fantasy for me. Death Knight for me is a class that utilizes the dead, hence the name Death Knight, smacking your enemies so hard they come back as a zombie minion. A class that is just pure power Juggernaut that keeps on getting stronger as the bodies pile up, summoning his minions and the dead to do his bidding. A total monster that dominates the battlefield. Lucky for us, I finally made a build that fits that fantasy. If you want to be the Juggernaut of the dead, this is the build for you. I present to you the Dread Knight. Without further ado, let's get into it. Alright, here we are now guys in a character creation screen. This is where we will be building the foundation of our Dread Knight. For today, we will be focusing on two races that are interesting for the build, which is the Githyanki and the Half-Orc. These two races are my preference. The Half-Orc is a really powerful race because of its savage attack as well as its relentless endurance. It also has dark vision, which is really nice, and the base racial speed of 9 meters. On the other hand, for the Githyanki, this will provide us actions such as Astral Knowledge, which will grant proficiency in all skills that we choose, cantrips such as the Githyanki Mage Hand, racial speed, and martial prodigy. This is quite useful whenever you want to have armor proficiency with light armor, medium armor, as well as other proficiencies in short bow, long sword, and great sword. In my opinion, I'll just go with the Half-Orc because savage attack is just hard to miss out. For the classes, we are going with the most powerful melee class in the game, which is the Fighter. For the fighting styles, we are eyeing on the fighting style Great Weapon Fighting. Whenever we roll a 1 or 2 on a damage die for an attack with a two-handed melee weapon, the die will re-roll once. For the background, there are two backgrounds that are interesting for the build, starting with the Soldier and the Noble. The Noble provides us history and persuasion skills, and the Soldier will provide us athletics and intimidation. I'll just go with the Noble because persuasion is a really nice skill to have. For the abilities, I will be presenting two abilities for you guys today. We are starting with our early game build, which is the Act 1 and Act 2 build. We are prioritizing our strength, wisdom, dexterity, and constitution. And for the Act 3 build, which is the endgame build, we will be respecing most likely look like this. We will just prioritize dexterity, wisdom, and charisma. We will be getting the gloves that will increase our strength to 23, as well as the amulet that will increase our constitution to 23. That's why we will be prioritizing on other skills for the Act 3 build. Starting off from level 2 of our fighter, we just unlock our first action, which is the Action Surge. This will provide us with an additional action every short rest. Level 3 of our fighter, we just unlock our first fundamental subclass that is important for the build, with the Battle Master. The Battle Master provide us a subclass feature as well as our maneuvers. For the maneuver, we're gonna start with taking Disarming Attack. This will give us the opportunity to deal an additional 1d8 damage, as well as having the chance to drop the enemy's weapons. Next is the Pushing Attack. This will give us the opportunity to push an enemy 4.5 meters forward and deal an additional 1d8 damage. Finally, for the Trip Attack, this will deal an additional 1d8 damage to your opponents, as well as having the ability to knock them prone. For our fighter, we just unlock our first feat of the day. We are eyeing on the feat Savage Attacker. When making a melee weapon attacks, you roll your damage die twice and you use the highest result. Basically, we use the highest possible damage that we can whenever we are doing a melee attack. There is a slight difference between Savage Attacker and Savage Attacks. Savage Attacker basically rolls the highest possible attack that you can whenever you are just using your normal attack. While on the other hand, on the Savage attacks, whenever we land a critical hit with a melee attack, we deal an additional extra die for weapon damage. But both of them are really good to have whenever you want to have the highest possible damage that you can dish out. Level 5 of our fighter, we unlock our class feature Extra Attack. This will give us an additional free attack. Now for level 6, we are now introducing another class to the mix in the form of the Druid. The Druid is a really cool class to have, aside from us getting, proficiencies with light armor, medium armor, shields, which we already have from our fighter class. We also get cantrips that are specific to the Druid class. Level 7 of our character, which is level 2 of our Druid, now we unlock our second most important class that we need for the build, which is the Circle of Spores. The Circle of Spores gives us the opportunity to shapeshift, but we won't be focusing on that because we are eyeing on the action Symbiotic Entity. This will grant us 8 temporary hit points and deal an additional 1 to 6 necrotic damage while we have the Halo of Spores. Level 8 of our character, we just unlock our few spells that we have, which are the level 2 spells. We are eyeing on a few really interesting spells such as the Protection of Poison. This will be really useful later on the build whenever we want to set up to deal damage using our Dread Knight. Level 4 of our Druid, we are eyeing on our second feat of the day, which is the Great Weapon Master. Whenever we land a critical hit or kill a target with a melee attack, we can make an additional melee attack as a bonus action. But the downside of this is we'll provide -5 to your attack rolls as penalty. For the cantrips, I highly advise you go with the Guidance. It is one of the best cantrips in the game, hands down. Coming into level 10 of our character, we just unlock a few class features such as the Wild Strike. Whenever we are wild shaping, we can deal an additional attack. But the most important thing for the level is we have Plant Growth. Plant Growth is a level 3 transmutation spell. This will make weeds burst out of the ground and smother an area. Creatures that move through the weeds have movement speed quartered. Level 6 of our Druid and level 11 of our character, we just unlock a few class actions or actions from the Druid class, such as the Owlbear as well as the Panther Wild Shape. The really interesting thing that we need here is the Fungal Infestation. This will give us the chance to raise the dead. What's really cool about this is fungal zombies have passives that whenever you kill an enemy that they hit, they will become zombies in their stead. Finally, level 12 of our Druid, or which is level 12 of our character, we just unlocked one of the most important spells that we need for the build, which is the Freedom of Movement. This will snap any allies out of a stun, and difficult terrains can't be slowed down. They can't be magically paralyzed or restrained. This spell will really go well with your plant growth later on this build. In addition to that, we also have Woodland Being. This will give us a chance to summon a Druid to our side, which has the ability to use Nature Step, entangle enemies, or summon Wood Woad. Alright guys, I'm now going to be showing you the item setup that we need for the build. I will be showcasing 2 builds as usual for you guys, and don't forget to check out the description below for all of the links of the items that I mentioned today. We're gonna start with the Grimskull helmet as well as the Adamantine Splint armor. I'll be talking about this in tandem because you will be getting this in the same location. This will prevent any attacks from landing critical hits for the helmet as well as magical plate for the armor. Incoming damage will be reduced by 2, as well as an adamantine backlash. When a melee attacks hit us, the enemies will be sent reeling for 3 turns. Next is the Swordmaster's Glove. This will grant us the passive Sword Mastery. We will gain proficiency in our short sword, long sword, great sword, and in addition, this will also give us +1 bonus to our attack roll. And finally, for the ring, which is the Callous Glow ring. This will grant us the Callous Glow. We will deal an additional 2 damage against creatures that are illuminated. Now we're going to be talking about the weapons. I highly advise you just stick with the Everburn Blade because number 1, it is a really early item that you can get, especially in the Nautiloid, and it also has a 1d4 fire damage on top of its 6 to 19 damage. Now I'm going to be showing you guys an early level setup for you to deal damage using our Dread Knight. So we'll just utilize the power of the Callous Glow Ring, just have an ally particularly that can use light, and give ourselves a light source for us to activate the Callous Glow Ring. Now we have the light buff from our ally. We'll just try to use Symbiotic Entity for us to optimize our damage. This will grant us 8 additional hit points as well as 1 to 6 necrotic damage. Now our character is ready to deal some damage. We'll just try to attack Gale. We just dealt 3, 13, 2, and 1 damage to Gale. Now I'm going to be showing you the Act 3 build, which is the end game build for us to really optimize our Dread Knight. There are a few items that are really important for the build, starting with the Shapeshifter's Hat. This will provide us the passive Nature's Embrace. This will increase our wild shape charge by 1. This additional charge will be restored upon taking a long rest. It also gives us +1 to our nature proficiency. Next up is the Armor of the Spore Keeper. This will grant us the Malefic Fungi. The wearer gains +1 bonus to spell save DC, and when dealing necrotic damage, they deal an additional 1 necrotic damage. And one of the most important passive that we need is the Spore Keeper Sack. While imbued with Symbiotic Entity, we can spread Bobberbang Spores, Mass Spores, and Haste Spores in the battlefield. Third is the Hail Giant Strength. This will just bump up our strength to 23, and it will go really well with the Amulet of the Greater Health, which will bump up our Constitution to 23. For the rings, we need the Caustic Band. This will give us the Malefic Excretion. Weapon attacks will also deal 2 acid damage. And finally, for the rings, we need the Executioner, which is the Killer's Sweetheart. When we kill a creature, our next attack will be a guaranteed critical hit. Now we're going to be talking about the weapons. The most powerful weapon for the build is the Baldur's Giant Slayer. This will grant us the passive Giant Slayer on hit. This will double the damage from our strength modifier. This weapon will grant us advantages on attack rolls against large, huge, and gargantuan creatures, and it gives us giant form. Just a bonus thing for you guys, I highly advise you go with the Gunther Mael for the legendary bow, just because of Celestial Haste is so good for the build. Alright guys, I'm now going to be showing you some active gameplay on how we properly utilize our Dread Knight. The Dread Knight is very powerful, especially if you have corpses nearby or you are prolonging the battlefield, because the chaos will be adding up due to the power of the infestations that you will be providing your enemies later on. So after a long rest or before a battle, we will be buffing ourselves using the protection from poison. This will provide us poison protection for until long rest, as well as freedom of movement. This will provide us movement throughout any type of terrain without any penalties to our movement speed. Now we will be providing more power to our Dread Knight. We need to use the giant form here. So we'll be using giant form in tandem with the Celestial Haste. Now we will be using Symbiotic Entity. This will provide us additional necrotic damage, and we will be setting up the damage using our plant growth. We're gonna start off attacking our enemies using the Bibberjack Spores for us, or maybe the Tim Mask. I'll just go with the Tim Mask Spore because it will CC our enemies whenever they get the opportunity. Now we'll just decimate this opponent here. Now he's dead. We'll now use our fungal infestation to summon our zombies. Now we'll try to obliterate this opponent here using our great weapon attack. We'll just use Executioner for good measure, and he just died. Now we'll just move to another enemy. Now he's dead. Now I'll be using my zombie to inflict Clawing Gnaw to the enemy. If you notice guys, the enemy now has the condition Clawing Gnaw. Whenever the enemy or this enemy dies, a newborn zombie will take his place, which is pretty fun. Now we'll be summoning another fungal infestation. Just utilize this one here. Now we have 2 zombies in the mix. We'll now try to finish off this enemy here. so that we can provide an additional zombie to our arsenal. Almost dead. Almost miss. Now he's dead. As you see here, guys, we now have 3 zombies that will be fighting in our side. Now we'll just finish up another enemy here. Now just finish this guy off. He's dead. And that's it, guys. Thank you for watching. I hope you guys enjoyed the power of the Dread Knight. It is a very powerful character that will be a great addition to your team. The longer the fight progresses, the more powerful the Dread Knight becomes. What do you guys think about the build? Now, are you the type of person who likes using the power of zombies and death to your advantage? Would love to know your answers down below. For any question or clarification, you can also comment it down below. I'll do my best to answer every single one of your queries. I hope I earn your subscription in the future, but if I earn it today, please don't hesitate to hit that subscribe button. It really helps me out a lot. And I almost forgot, guys, please hit that like button if you guys like this video. It really lets me know that you guys are enjoying my builds. That's it for me. I hope to see you soon on the next MasterBok show. Peace out. Bye, guys.